everybody. What's going on? Welcome to episode 9 of Big Hoof Energy. I'm your host, Ryan. As usual, I get to be joined by my co-hosts, Jackson and Kaylee, and our special guest, Matthew DeSantis, as Kaylee and the Naira Bets crew share the screen today. How are both of you guys doing?
We're doing great. Yeah, we just actually got done recording a couple of videos that are going to be up on the Naira Bets YouTube channel in the next, one's up already and one's going to be out tomorrow. So just, late at night, working hard and, working on the late pick 5 sequence at Aqueduct, but we're doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, difficult sequence. Kaylee, how are you doing?
I'm good. It was a bit of a difficult sequence this week, I thought. But yeah, we just got done recording some videos and just been at it all day, which was fun. So
Nice. The work never stops. Jackson, how are you doing? Hope you're feeling better, especially after that win on Urban Cowgirl in the last race at Turf.
Yeah, that helped a little bit. We're alive in the pick 5, we're alive in the contest, so multitasking today for sure. But I'm excited for this sequence at Aqueduct, and I'm really excited for that stake race. I think there's a few horses in there that look like they might be doing something on the Kentucky Oaks Trail. So excited to talk about that one.
Yeah, without a doubt. We got the late pick 5 races 5 through 9 for this Saturday at Aqueduct. Jackson just mentioned the 1.125 Busanda stakes. Certainly excited to get into that one with some nicely developing 3-year-olds. But without further ado, I mean, it is a very difficult sequence. So let's not waste any time. We'll start off with race number 5. We're going 6 furlongs, optional claim non-2, other than obviously on the dirt as it is the winter. We don't have the numbers yet, so bear with us for this coupled entry maze that we always seem to navigate. However, the 4 of us are in complete lockstep with our top choice, that being the number 6. I saw the race 632, Jackson 651, Kaylee 6 with the 1A and 4, Matthew with the 6-2 and the 1A. Let me see if I'm doing my counting correctly here, but I believe the 6 is Toxic Gray is going to be the consensus top pick in here. Naira Bets crew, you guys are on the same screen. Matthew, we'll throw it to you first. Toxic Gray is your top pick.
Yeah, just a horse that I think has been in really solid form as of late. Last time out, you can draw a line through the Gravesend, obviously facing against much tougher competition in that spot, also dealing with a sloppy sealed track. Now, we are expecting a little bit of weather potentially on Saturday, though that's going to be coming later in the afternoon, and it's also been lessened throughout the last 24 hours in terms of the forecast. So not as worried about wet track conditions on Saturday as I was, 24, 48 hours ago. But this is a horse that has outstanding early speed, and I just think has several races to run back to that are more than good enough to win in this spot. So just the recent consistency for this barn, the fact that Jose Lezcano seems to really be riding this horse well the last few times out, and a little bit of a drop in class after going against Stakes Company last time out. I think all of that combined with going back on the Lasix makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. I completely agree. Kaylee, this is all of our consensus top pick. Did you have anything to add?
yeah, completely agree. Looks to stack up really well there with the 93 and 95 speed figures that he got. And then there's no reason why he can't come into this race in that same form. And he also looks to be the speed of the race as well. So that was the main reason why I put him on top here as well.
Definitely. Jackson, I'll turn to you next.
Yeah, they covered it. He's drawn well on the outside of the main speeds. And you got to go all the way back to the debut to see the last time he didn't run with Lasix. He got a 57 buyer. Lasix came on, jumped up, 33 points. So I think getting back to Lasix is going to be key in this spot. And he looks tough.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Lasix back on angle. I like that they tried him in Stakes Company after that allowance victory. Now dropping back into a reasonable spot. Next horse we'll go to will be the number 2. That's going to be the horse down on the rail, Ridgewood Runner. Horse I picked in 3rd, and then Matthew, you picked this as your second choice in the race.
Yeah, I thought this horse was a little bit interesting and had some good races of late. In particular, Carlos Martin, always a trainer that I have a lot of respect for, and with Kendrick Carmouche up on the mount. Kendrick, much like Linda Rice, off to a very good start this time of year. It is Kendrick season at Aqueduct. I mean, that's what winter is a lot of times up here at the Big A. So Kendrick winning 29% of his mounts. And, that's one of these instances where, because of the coupled entry, the number 2 horse, in this case, Ridgewood Runner, is going to be breaking from the rail. But you want a jockey like Kendrick aboard this type of a horse. This horse has good speed. Kendrick's aggressive out of the gate. Get this horse up and in good position. The horse has shown the ability to handle this sort of distance, likes the track. And I just thought might provide a little bit of decent value underneath in this particular spot, and has shown to be competitive after winning a claiming race, and has now run at this level the last 2 times out and shown to be very competitive.
Yeah, I saw the same things that you did. I liked the rail draw, or I liked it with Kendrick aboard more than I would any other jockey. I saw it very similarly to you. And you mentioned, yeah, it is Kendrick's season down there. So he just was such a great ride on everybody. But yeah, it's the Kendrick and Manny Franco show. This time during the winter months, they're the ones that kind of are up there in the cold. So I'm in pretty much lockstep with you as far as that pick goes. Next, Kaylie, we'll go to you to the 1A, who is going to be disarmed. That is right here. I believe post number 7, if I did my counting correctly, but who knows on that. I constantly run into that issue. So why don't you take it away with this one?
Yeah, so out of the coupled entry, I prefer Disarmed over the 1 here. This horse has pretty good early speed as well. I think he can improve a lot off of his last start. That was going a mile. I think he used up, too much energy early on to get the last furlong there. But if you think about it, he was just a head off of the lead after 7 furlongs. So I think, the cutting back in distance today should help this horse out, especially with that good early speed that he has. And he's been working well as well. And, he's also been facing tougher fields. So
Definitely. Taba Watch, who we faced last time. Instant Coffee, who I believe ran in the Derby, a couple years back. Matthew, you also had this horse in third. Is there anything you wanted to add on this one?
Yeah, good speed coming out of the Rudy Rodriguez barn. And I just thought this one, again, the form comes and goes sometimes. It's not always as consistent as you'd like. The coupled entry probably means the price is going to be lower than I would like on this type of a horse. But I do think if you're playing particularly vertically, a horse that might be difficult to keep off your tickets in those deeper tries and supers.
Yeah, I agree. The company he's faced has really been spectacular. You have Little Vic, you have Lightman, who was in good form at the time. I mentioned Taba Watch. I mean, you go back to some of the turf and off the turf tries. You had Spirit of St. Louis and some others. Certainly a tough runner who's facing a lot easier here. Jackson, we'll go to you with the number 5. I believe Midlander is the number 5, trained by Michael Moore, a shipper in here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Toxic Ray is by far the horse to beat, right? And he's the best speed. So if he is to lose this race, I think it's because they go too fast. Disarmed goes with them, tries to set it up with stablemate. Maybe Kendrick gets a little too aggressive from the rail, and there's 3 of them across the track, and they just go too fast, and it sets it up for a horse that can close and pass some horses. And I know this horse is a little slow in figures, but I've talked about this before. When I'm talking about a horse that's coming from way out of it, I don't really care, because the only chance he has is it kind of falls apart and they come back to him anyways. So he's got the second best late pace figures in this field, and I think he's going to be a pretty big price, even in the small field. So I'm going to try to squeeze him in the exacta, or maybe key him underneath in a try.
Yeah, I like that pick. A horse that can close from down off the pace, because there certainly looks like there could be an abundance of it. That was a similar angle to what I took with the 3 with Spun in 1. My second choice in here. I thought it was a little bit interesting that Manny Franco takes the mount here. Obviously, he's the other kind of top rider this time of the year, along with Kendrick, especially now with Dylan Davis down in Florida. This one comes in looking to find the form again, kind of off since the summer. But, I mean, Dutro has been red hot. This one might benefit from some pace in front of him as well. So I'm hoping again, obviously the 6 Toxic Gray is our collective top pick, but if they heat it up on the front end, I think the 3 might be able to pick up some pieces late down the lane there. Kaylie, we'll go to you. The number 4 Squire Creek is your third choice.
Yeah, so this was another horse that has decent early speed. I know it's a horse that's a bit inconsistent. If you look 2 back, that's like a monster speed figure compared to what he ran back after that. So you don't really know what horse you're going to get. But this horse does have good early speed. And, with the weather that we could be expecting as well, this horse can handle a wet track as well, and is in decent recent form, has run races good enough to win here, and has the speed to be involved as well. And then also he's carrying an apprentice. He has an apprentice on board this time, so he'll be carrying significantly less weight as well, was something else I viewed as a bit of a positive.
Yeah, definitely a positive there. If this one can run his A race, certainly going to put this one as a big threat to win in this field. And I think you'll get a pretty square price on this horse as well. I believe the last one we'll talk about is going to be the number 1, which is Celestial Glaze. It was Jackson, this is your third choice.
Yeah, very similar case to mid laner, just a deep closer. He is the one that has the best late pace figures, and I have him third because he is an entry, so my price is definitely going to be hurt by that. But again, if the stalemate kind of just sends away and goes at Toxic Gray and the 2-horse goes as well, he can pick up the pieces. And wouldn't excuse last effort on the slop. He just didn't seem like he handled it. And then 2-back, he tried to close into some slower fractions. So I want to give him a chance to get the right kind of setup and come running late for a slice.
I like it. That is race number 5, the first leg of this late pick 5. And aside from our collective top pick, we all went in pretty different directions with our second and third place finishers. I'm certainly eager to see what these pick 5s look like at the end of the sequence. Maybe we all singled, maybe we all spread. I'll save that for the end. But that is race number 5. We're going 6 furlongs in that event. Next up, we'll have 1 mile on the dirt. If we decide to load here, there we go. Claim $16,000. Picks are up on the screen. Another race where we were a little bit similar. I saw the race 2-5-7. Jackson saw the race 6-11-5. Kaylie saw it 5-2-7. Matthew saw the race 2-7-5. Jackson, we're going to start with you on this one. You're the odd man out with the number 6 here, which is that Sagamore Mischief?
Sagamore Mischief, yeah. I just didn't see a whole lot of speed in here. I think there's some, but I think this horse has a chance, drawn outside of Winter's Ghost, to kind of just take it to him the whole time. And in these mile races, I talk a lot about, I like horses that are cutting back, right? Because theoretically, they're going to be more fit. But when you have so many horses that have been running at that mile distance or mile and an eighth, I kind of want to be a little contrarian. I want the horse that's coming out of the sprints because he might be able to run them off their feet a little bit. Maybe those horses are going a lot faster than they're used to because of the presence of this horse. So I thought last time we ran, okay, that was a much tougher field. This is a pretty significant class drop into restricted claimers. The 2-back race wasn't great, but the 3-back race, I mean, it was pretty solid. It'd be competitive in here, and I think he's going to be another one that should be a pretty square price. I also think it's interesting that Lescano ends up here rather than for the Linda horse that is drawn towards the inside.
Yeah, that is the jockey booking is certainly interesting. I know, you can only put so much weight into the jockey, carousel. However, this is one of those where, he consistently rides for Linda for the top choice. So to see him elsewhere when Linda has, one of the top choices is certainly interesting. Maybe you can go back-to-back weeks giving out the straight trifecta like you did last week, Jackson, with the Aqueduct 6. So this guy's on fire and can't be stopped. Kaylie, we're going to go to you with the number 5, Winter's Ghost, horse that you, myself, and Matthew, and Jackson all have in our top 3. You have this one as your top choice.
Yeah, because as Jackson said, there's not much speed. Doesn't look to be much speed in this race, and this horse has the best early speed of the group, projected to break on top. That's why I landed on this horse and fits in well figures-wise. And I think that, the mile is definitely this horse's preferred distance as well. And yeah, it looks to be the speed of the race. I'm hoping that this horse can take them gate to wire. So I put this one on top.
I like it. It would this race is a bit of a cluster. I'm not really sure if there's any strong way to go. However, Matthew, you and I landed at the same top pick. That's the number 2, Whiskey and Soda.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I foreshadowed this with last race where I said it's Linda and Kendrick season. Well, now they're together on this one. So, just doubly so. But this horse has a few things to like. I think first, the 2 for 3 winning at the distance. This horse is second back now from a pretty significant layoff. And here's a little stat for you. Over the last 5 years, Linda Rice, second off the claim, off a 180-plus day layoff, is winning at a 40% clip. So a lot of times when Linda claims a horse and you see that horse take a long break, you really want to avoid that horse first time out. It's the second time out where you see that horse really move forward for Linda because sometimes that claim followed by the layoff means maybe there just something wasn't right. Some of them maybe a little unexpected popped up, and maybe it takes a little bit of time to get that horse to kind of work back out. This one also taking a class drop, running against claiming 35 last time out, now dropping down to claiming 16. I hear you on the Kendrick and or the Jose Lezcano thing. Kendrick, has been riding for her quite a bit. Usually it's kind of her 1B, I guess, to Lezcano's 1A. But I just thought this one had a fair amount to offer. And interestingly enough, we talk not a lot of speed, and I agree, but this horse has good, at least early speed to track the pace. And even if it is modest fractions, is not going to let anybody get too far ahead of them or too far off the lead. So especially with Kendrick aboard. So I just thought this one made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a great point. Oh, go ahead,
Or
Jackson.
Matthew and Ryan. This horse is dropping from 35,000 to 16. Is that a bit of a concern? Like, it's too big of a drop, maybe, or is this kind of something Linda does pretty frequently and it's not a big concern?
I think it's something that it's a good question. I think it's something that Linda does pretty frequently.
Right.
She'll do it more frequently, maybe at the end of meets. You'll see that sometimes, like at Saratoga, she dropped a bunch of horses and ended up winning the trainer's title or tying with Chad Brown to get some of that. So, and you see Chad doing that, to be fair, as well. Sometimes where horses will make big class drops at the end of meets. But this one was claimed for 25. She kind of moved the horse up to 35, now dropping back down to 16. It's not so alarming to me, or it doesn't set off so many alarm bells that it's that massive a class drop, as opposed to like a claiming 50 down to a claiming 16. That would set off some alarm bells that maybe something's not right here, and we're just trying to get this horse, into another barn, perhaps.
I like it.
Yeah, Matthew, I'm happy you saw it that way as well, because when Linda plays this aggressive claiming game, I don't typically look at it as too much of a red flag, especially considering it's a drop into restricted 16, but not the non-2, non-3 life, where it's like a real plummet down. Similar to the West Coast, Jackson, for us, that's kind of like the Peter Miller move, where he'll just plummet a horse down the class ladder to the place that he fits. And you mentioned Linda claimed this horse for 25,000. So dropping back, you get a winner's share of the purse here, plus the $16,000 claim. You're pretty much making your money back, and then a little and then some. So I also landed on whiskey and soda as my top pick. I'll draw a line through that last race. That wasn't the best, the horse's best effort. And I love the stat that you brought up, Matthew, of at 40% second after the claim in races like this. That's certainly a green flag in a race where, horses on ability were lacking that consistency throughout the field. So that brought me to the number 5 as well. Or I'm sorry, the number 2. Kaylie, do you have anything to add, as you also have this horse as your second choice?
Yeah, I completely agree. The horse has a ton of upside, second off the claim, second off the layoff, and has run some of the best speed figures of the group as well. So, and then of course gets Kendrick Carmouche aboard for the first time ever, thinking, he can be a bit more aggressive with this horse, maybe get him a part of the mix early on, and take advantage of the fact that, there's not much speed in here besides maybe the 5 and also this horse potentially. So.
Yeah, I like it. We'll go now to the outside to the number 11, which, Jackson, is that Ice Road?
No, it's the Jamie Ness horse, I believe. Keep going.
Okay.
Helium.
There we go. Helium. This is the horse you picked in second.
Yeah, just one that is cutting back and had a pretty wide trip early on last time, was close to the pace and just didn't quite see it out. Has some back numbers that I think make some sense in here. I can excuse the race 2 back over at Parks, where in the wet track, didn't really get a great setup that day. I just think he's sitting on a good race. Third start off the bench, should get a little bit of pace in front of him. We'll be out in the clear the whole time. I'm a little surprised Jamie Ness hasn't hit the exacta yet in 8 starts, but I would assume that's just kind of a small sample size thing. He wins, maybe not in New York as much as he does in Pennsylvania, but he wins at a high clip.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the cutback angle for this one. He'll have some stamina to, be able to finish off that race when you mentioned, a lot of these have been running at this mile and not quite getting the job done. So I like how you have the kind of 2 different angles. You have the stretch out as your top pick, and then you have the cutback as your second pick. You have all the angles covered, and then you also have the 5 in there as well, along with the rest of us. Next one we'll go to is the number 7. That is St. James, I believe. Matthew, we'll go to you. This is the horse you picked in second.
Yeah, it is indeed St. James. We did a good job, this time. I feel like last time I was on with you, it was a disaster, and it was on my
my counting was off that day. That one's on the host.
So, yeah, listen, this one is, I think the horse makes a lot of sense, obviously, and is making a massive class drop from running pretty high-level allowance races where, to be clear, the horse was clearly overmatched. I mean, this is not a situation where I'm alarmed by this much of a class drop, because the horse broke its maiden and a maiden claiming 40. When you see horses winning, breaking their maidens and maiden claimers, a lot of times it indicates they're claiming level horses. Now, sometimes they can, a horse wins and starts to gain momentum and starts to learn how to win, etc. But this is one that, just was really overmatched in a lot of ways. Did get a starter allowance win, a 3 back, but like I said, just overwhelmed the last 2 times. Now we're second back from a significant layoff, dropping in class. The lack of speed is concerning for sure. And the fact that this horse is going to be coming from well off the pace is a problem. But this horse has just been facing so much tougher that it'll be interesting to see against this level of competition if this horse maybe is a little bit faster than what it's been showing in some of these more recent starts. So maybe this horse gets away closer to a mid-pack trip rather than something further back as he's been showing the last few times out. So like I said, the big class drop was just kind of what kind of threw me onto this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Kaylie, you picked this horse in third, as did I. What did you like about this runner?
Yeah, I completely agree. Definitely the class drop was what stuck out. And I agree with Matthew. Hopefully he can, sit more so of a mid-pack type of trip, not so far back, and things get more heated than we expect in terms of the pace, then maybe this is a horse that can pick up some pieces. And, he's also ran his best speed figures at this distance. So I think he should be pretty dangerous in here.
Yeah, and I'll follow up on a point that I think is interesting that, when we talk about pace, and I think we all see these first two races very similarly in terms of pace, but, jockeys and connections look at these past performances too. And I can't tell you the number of times, particularly at Aqueduct and particularly in the winter, where I'll look at a race, I'll go, man, there's a lot of pace in this race. And everybody decides to rate. And suddenly there's lone speed, and you go, "What's going on? How's my deep closer suddenly getting screwed?" And sometimes you'll see a race like this where you go, "Well, man, there's no speed." Everybody else sees there's no speed. Suddenly we're going 22 to the quarter, and you're going, "All right, well, that's going to not play out the way I expect." So, Jackson, to the way you were building your ticket or your picks, I actually really like that, going with a horse that could be lone speed up on the front end, and then going with a horse maybe coming from a little further off the pace, and just because you never know, depending on how it plays out, you're kind of covered in both directions.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point for Jackson's handicapping angles, because he's like that, pretty consistently. Turfway Park, that always seems to work out well for you too. Yep. Anytime we're throwing bets down over there. So yeah, St. James. What's that? Oh yeah,
it's still alive.
Still alive. Fantastical one by however many. St. James was my third pick as well. That last race, losing to Skylander, Vetriano, Lock and Key, those would all be, way more than odds on in here. We're talking, 2 to 5 or less, probably 1 to 9. The class drop is fantastic. It really fits this horse. Looking at the race 3 back, I know that was back in March, but he gets back to anything close to that, and he'll be in good shape versus this field. Next horse we'll talk about, actually, I think that's all the horses that we've talked about. Jackson, unless you have any notes on the number 5 before we move it along for Winter's Ghost.
No, I think you guys covered the 5 pretty well.
All right, that's race number 6, second leg of this late pick 5. I saw the race 2-5-7. Jackson saw the race 6-11-5. Kaylie saw the race 5-2-7, and Matthew saw the race 2-7-5. We'll move on now to race number 7. Picks are up. This is 6.5 furlongs allowance, non-winners of 1 other than. I saw the race with the 1A, 4, and 5. Jackson saw the race 4-1-8. Kaylie saw the race 6-4-3, and Matthew saw the race 4-6-2. Let's see if I can do my counting correctly again. We're going to go to Quick to Accuse, the top pick for both Jackson and Matthew, and then Kaylie, you and I had this horse in second. Matthew, you landed on Lock and Key as your top pick.
Or no, Quick to Accuse, yes.
Quick to Accuse, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, no, Lock and Key we talked about. Yeah, that's a really fun horse that I have a lot of thoughts about. But anyway, that I both won and lost money on. But Quick to Accuse, well, yeah, I knew that the person sitting next to me was going to pick the Bill Mott horse, so I had to do something different, just to be a little bit contrarian to Kaylie. But in all seriousness, listen, Brad Cox, Manny Franco, this time of year usually is pretty strong combination up here at Aqueduct. And this is a horse, again, just consistent runner. Really, if you draw a line through that one race back in June, which the horse then went to the bench for a little while, and, so maybe something was just slightly amiss in that race. You look at those last 5 efforts, incredibly consistent. 2 wins, 2 seconds. The horse has good speed, doesn't need the lead, though, can sit more of a tracking trip, can come from a little off the pace, can pass horses. Manny's been riding this horse pretty consistently throughout this whole time. So I just thought there were a lot to like there. The horse's speed figures are ascending in recent starts. So I thought that was promising to see. I always like to see that kind of upward trajectory, particularly coming off of a little bit of a freshening. So I just thought this one made a lot of sense in this particular spot. It's probably going to be a short price, but I'm not going to be spreading too much in this particular race.
Yeah, I certainly don't disagree with any of the points you brought up. That 79 buyer 3-back, clearly something kind of went wrong because this horse kind of went to the sidelines for a little bit, came back, and clearly looks to be back improving, doing well for the Brad Cox barn. Jackson, anything to add on this also top pick of yours?
Just that Treat Obligation came back and ran really well last week. He was third, beating the neck in a much tougher race. So it was clearly a pretty good race. And I think a slight cut back to 6.5 might help him a little bit too. So those would be the only points I would add. He looks pretty logical in this spot.
He absolutely does. Kaylie, anything to add for a horse that we both picked in second?
Yeah, completely agree with the cutback in distance. And also his last 2 starts were off layoffs and, he was just there both times. So I'm thinking if he can improve a little bit here again, then that should put him in a pretty good spot.
Definitely. We'll stick with you as we go out to the Bill Mott runner, the number 6 Silo Ridge.
Yeah, so Mott does really well with long layoffs and also cutting back in distance. And he's cutting back to the distance that he broke his maiden at as well. Last time we saw this horse was in February 2024, so almost a year ago. And, he's faced some pretty tough horses, 2-back, the winner 2-back, Whittington Park, that Silo Ridge finished second to. Got a 99 buyer speed figure in the next out to win a listed stakes at Aqueduct. So he's been running against not only tougher horses, but horses that also improved as well. And he seems to be working pretty well. He has a bullet work back in December. So working pretty fast for a Mott horse as well. He should come in here pretty fresh.
Yeah, he certainly is working really well. And it doesn't discourage me too much that he's off a little bit of a layoff. I know that's typically unlike Mott to kind of crank him up first time out, but this one won off the about 4-month layoff to break his maiden and did it looking like a fresh horse. So that's no concern of mine either. I think he should fire a really strong effort in there. Matthew, did you kind of agree with that as you picked this horse second?
Yeah, agreed with a lot of things. Obviously, the cutback I really liked, and then I also thought the recent gelding is an angle as well to talk about. I mean, that's not one that I use all the time, but it's one that I know somebody like Maggie Wolfendale, our colleague up here at NYRA, Maggie really uses that angle regularly, and so that's one to just keep in mind. And yeah, and Mott is off to a pretty hot start and a limited number of starters up here. I mean, listen, Bill has a string obviously down at Gulfstream Park, and then he keeps some up here. But I think it just speaks to how well he understands the sort of horses that will succeed in New York versus not putting horses in over their heads down at Gulfstream Park during the championship meet, and knowing that this horse is better suited up here in New York and is just going to be spotted, I think, in the right place.
Yeah, without a doubt. He also seems like one of the trainers that gives a lot of the runners in his barn kind of the winter off to, just kind of freshen up. Yeah. So anytime he has runners that are, still feeling themselves, still going well, and he runs them during the winter, that's definitely something I take into account because he certainly fires a really strong string at the winter meet up in New York. Next one we'll go to is going to be the number 1, who it is a coupled entry. So bear with me here. Radio Red is actually on the rail, drew the number 1. Go ahead, Jackson.
Yeah, and again, I would like this horse a lot more if he wasn't the coupled entry. I think it's going to scare me away a little bit, but I do think he's a little interesting because he started going the wrong direction, and he definitely needed the break, right? He ran pretty consistently from a 2-year-old all the way into middle 4-year-old season. Obviously, something went wrong last time. He hasn't been seen since. But then, the 2-back race, he saw him decline, but that came on the muddy surface. He's 0 for 6 on the slop. 3-back sloppy surface, 0 for 6 on the slop. So you go back to those fast track races. And it was 4 and 5 back, but they were fast. They were good, strong numbers. And if he can get back to those races, I don't see why he can't be competitive in here. Now, again, he's got to deal with a 7-8 month layoff. But if he can get back to those races, he'll be tough in this spot. And I do like that Kendrick does bother to ride off with the long layoff.
Yeah, that's certainly encouraging. I went with the other coupled entry mate in here. I went with the 1A Crazy Mason on top. I love the comeback effort in the allowance race, losing to Stolen Magic. I know Kendrick hops off to go ride the number 1 Radio Red for Danny Gargan, but that's not going to discourage me too much. Chris Elliott's been riding fantastic. You get the 5-pound allowance. You get a nice outside draw. I know he finished 4th in a 6-horse field, but he wasn't far out of it. I know Shipsational and Print Track come out of that race, but I love the second off the layoff for this. Greg Sacco's been firing really well with the small amount of starters he's had so far to start this meet. So I'll take this one, who was coming off of a hot barn and should just continue to roll right along. So it was the 1-8 Crazy Mason for me on top, but then the 4 and 5 underneath. Jackson, we'll go right back your way to the number 8 and remind me what number that horse is, because I've completely lost count.
Air of Defiance.
Air of Defiance. Thank you. For Chad Summers, what did you like about this one, picking this one in third?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be his third start off of a really long layoff, and he was so impressive that day at Kaylie. I gotta give him one more chance, because he's taken a lot of money in both those starts. And while he didn't run that great in either of them, the blinkers are going on. That's a really good angle for Chad Summers. He's finally drawn a lot better. He was kind of stuck inside both times, so now he's drawn up towards the outside. I think we're going to see a little bit more speed out of him. I just need to give him one more chance, because I've been out on the last 2 times.
Yeah, I've been with you. I've been out in the last 2 times as well, but this feels like one of those horses that eventually is going to burn me. And if he decides to win on Saturday, I believe he's going to burn me again. So that is a fair point, and he certainly has some ability, as we've seen early in his career. Next, we'll go over to you, Matthew, the number 2 Tivy.
Yeah, just an interesting horse that I'm probably not going to be including on my horizontals at all, but a horse that I do have third. And the horse likes to finish third, by the way, we should say. 9 for 22 finishing third in his career. So clearly a horse that is maybe not always the favorite to get to the winner's circle, only 2 wins and 22 starts, but runs pretty honest. For trainer Jenna Antonucci, and this one's actually coming out of that same Gravesend Stakes that we talked about earlier with Toxic Gray, who was our consensus top pick in the first leg. And so, again, willing to kind of draw a line through that last race over a sloppy sealed track. You go and look at that race 2 back, finishing second to the aforementioned Toxic Gray, who we all have a pretty high opinion of. So I just thought this one, might be a little bit of a price. Jenna's horses usually don't attract a ton of money from a betting interest up here. They usually stick around the morning line, maybe float up a point or 2. So I just thought Tivy was an interesting horse to include deeper in your verticals like tries and supers.
Definitely a very interesting underneath kind of key horse with those 9 thirds and 5 seconds as well to go along with that. So certainly a horse that, one of those kind of pack animals, but still runs in the money more often than not. Kaylie, we'll go to you. The last horse we'll touch on is the number 3 Commuted, your third choice.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process with Commuted. It's a horse I'm leaving off my pick 5, but that I'll probably be using underneath depending on what the price is. Kind of curious what the price you'll get on this horse will be. But yeah, in a race with not much clear speed in it, I thought this was a horse that displayed some speed in the race where he broke his maiden 3 back, and then his start 2 back where he finished third. And his buyers are competitive enough with the rest of the field at least to take a step up here. And also the fact that he's cutting back in distance here could also help him improve. In his race 2 back, he was on the lead and kind of weak and late going a mile. So I'm thinking the cut back in distance should suit him as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Absolutely. I think the cutback angle is really, really strong for this runner. I think this, he should have a good amount of foundation under him coming home. Obviously for Flying P Stable, who had one of the best Saratoga meets of recent memory. Yeah. That is race number 7, excuse me. 6.5 for the allowance company. We'll go on now to the stakes race. We're going a 1 1/8 in the Busanda. Picks are up. We're going a 1 1/8 again. 3-year-olds for the fillies. Road kind of to the Kentucky Oaks. I saw the race 3-7-6. Jackson saw the race 7-9-3. Kaylie saw the race 9-3-6, as did Matthew. So we will start with the number 9 running away. A horse that did just that in his last start at Churchill Downs. Matthew, this was you and Kaylie's top pick.
Yeah, it was. And it's interesting we landed on this one together because, this is a Wesley Ward horse. And, a couple of things. One, this horse starts on the turf and then goes to the dirt. You see a little bit of a perk up on the buyer speed figures, and it's a gun runner. I mean, listen, Gun Runner is doing fine on the turf, but I'd rather see him on the dirt. I just would. It's not quite a Union Rag situation, but it's getting there. And where I just get very frustrated by people who run Union Rag horses on any surface other than dirt. And I just want to sue them for malpractice. But anyway, that digression aside, the horse is the only one in this field who's won going 2 turns. And this is a 2-turn race. And I think there's a lot of questions about, are some of these horses 2-turn horses? Are they 1-turn milers? Are they sprinters like 6.5s? And so In that sort of a setup, I'd rather go with a known commodity. Now, I don't love the outside post draw necessarily, but the horse has outstanding early speed. And Savachi, the jockey who's coming down from Woodbine, this is a good high percentage jockey. I know people following the Naira circuit don't necessarily know him, but if you follow Woodbine, he usually is getting top mounts up there and is one of the top jockeys. So he knows how to ride. And I'm not worried about that at all. So this is a horse, great early speed. Wesley Ward, always known for having his horses revved up for these sorts of races. So I think this one just tries to go straight to the front and has clearly shown the endurance to be able to go 2 turns. So that's why I like this one up top.
Yeah, it really speaks volumes that Wesley Ward has never had this horse around 1 turn. This horse ran second on debut behind Virgin Colada, who went to the Breeders' Cup as a 2-year-old, and then came right back in a 2-turn Keeneland Turf race, finishing third by a neck, and then, got on dirt and really just never looked back. Was able to get to the lead that day. Not totally uncontested either, just under Johnny V, gave a great ride as he always does, and just pulled away. Kaylie, you also landed on this number 9 horse Running Away as your top pick.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on what the price is that you're going to get on this horse. I mean, I put her on top because she looks great on paper. Obviously, she has a win around 2 turns. She has great early speed, and she gets an outside post, which isn't a concern because she has great early speed. Top trainer, and she clearly can handle the distance. And also based on the pedigree, the added distance shouldn't be an issue either. But I do wonder if you're going to get a better price on this horse or the 3 Ramify, because, this horse is like a tick below in terms of her speed figures compared to like the Ramify horse. But, she has every reason to improve. But I definitely am hoping maybe she'll be second choice. And that was part of my reasoning putting her on top as well. And of course, the 2-turn win is key. So
it definitely is. That 2-turn this early on in the career is certainly key. I ended up with the number 3 Ramify as my top choice. Lascano's riding for Chad Brown, which is not a typical combo. However, I'm willing to overlook it given that it's the winter up at Aqueduct. I believe Manny Franco's on one of the other horses in this field, and he's typically kind of the first call, but he probably had other arrangement. So I ended up on number 3 Ramify. I love that debut effort. It was pretty professional for a first-time starter. Being able to close from 13 lengths out of it, the second point of call there was a little close, and then ended up towards the rear of that field, and then just powered home. I understand it was only a 5-horse field, but kind of won the right way for Juddmonte. So obviously really well bred out of a Tappet mare, and we just saw a Chad Brown 3-year-old out of Munnings win at his 2-turn debut. So, or at her 2-turn debut rather. So I'm interested to see this one run back here. And I think you'll get a little bit of a better price on Ramify than you will Running Away, which is kind of what ended up with me taking this one over. Do you or Matthew have anything to add as you guys both picked this horse in second?
Yeah, I mean, on debut, the horse broke a bit poorly. She was a bit green, went super wide, fell super far back. She just started chasing the pace, like 8 lengths off the leaders, and she really ran like a horse that's going to appreciate the added ground. It's nice, that she debuted at a mile as well. Kind of speaks to, what their future plans are, obviously, with that pedigree as well. She should be able to handle it. But yeah, top connections. Great speed figure, super professional debut, despite some of the challenges she may have faced at the start. And then what's kind of nice about this horse is you don't really know, what her running style necessarily is because of that debut and the difficulty that she faced. So, I mean, I think that this is a horse that is going to be really dangerous here, given that debut and how much she can improve off of it.
I'll just add,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add one other thing real quick about Ramify, and it's something, the point you actually brought up, that Lescano's up on the mountain. It's not just that Lescano's up on the mountain, it's that Manny Franco's on the Cox horse. Manny would normally be Chad's number 1 guy, I would assume, in this sort of a spot. And the fact that Manny goes to Sharp Smile, who none of us have in our top 3, and who I don't really see as a huge contender in this race, was a little bit of a red flag that, that he wouldn't go to this one. I don't know the jockey politics. I don't know if, Manny was just committed to Brad for that particular race. And, there was no conversation with Chad, but it was a little bit of an eyebrow raiser to see Lezcano up on the mount here. But this is a horse that has shown the ability to come from off the pace. So if they go too fast up front, if there's too much contention for that early pace, then this is one that obviously makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, certainly figured out how to pass horses in the debut after that green beginning. Just kind of finished up the way you'd like to see. Jackson, we're going to go to you with the number 7. Should be My Sharona here for Mirage and Ray Handel.
Yeah, coming out of the same race as Ramify, and I don't know. I have a tough time deciding between the two, but I do think the foundation this one might prove to be the difference because she does have that second start under her belt. And you guys mentioned the 9 furlongs is a question mark for pretty much all of these horses going 2 turns for the first time, except for the outside runner. And I just liked her. I liked her 2 starts. I thought first time out she ran really well. Was just barely beaten by Beauty Reigns. I think that's the Kaylie Belmont horse, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
My Sharona actually galloped out, battled the whole way, but got beat, but galloped out in front of that runner. And then last time was just much closer. That was a pretty hot pace. It was all red fractions. They were, they opened up several lengths in the field. She was right up on it the whole time, battled the whole way to the wire. And again, even though she got beat, she galloped out in front of Ramify, who got a way better setup. So this is a horse I think is going to really appreciate stretching out. I think she's got the foundation. And I just feel like she's going to be a better price than the Chad Brown runner and the Wesley Ward horse. So give her one more shot to get the job done. Let's get this made at home in the stakes race one time.
I completely agree with you on that point of My Sharona. You're certainly gonna get a really fair price on this one, and My Sharona kind of gives the vibes and the energy throwing me back to last year's. I forget the race, but it was a Kentucky Oaks race where Val Brinkerhoff shipped a horse over from California and broke that one's maiden. Maybe you can help me out with the name. Where's my ring? Thank you. Where's my ring? Exactly. So
I made a lot of money on that horse.
There you go. Yeah, no. So I'm getting those kind of vibes from this horse, My Sharona, which is why I picked this one in second. Last one we'll talk about here, and I'll give it to the Naira Betts crew to take us home on the number 6, Ruth.
Yeah, this was a kind of a price play that we landed on. I mean, I don't really know what the price will be. It's a Todd Pletcher horse, but I mean, I know her buyer speed figure is a little bit light, but the runner-up on debut improved 14 buyer speed figure points next time out. She's another that has yet to stretch out, but she debuted going a mile and obviously has the pedigree to handle more distance, being an Uncle Mo out of a Bernardini mare. She stalked the pace on debut. She got shuffled back a couple of times. And once she found the rhythm at the top of the stretch, which took some time, I think she had a bit of difficulty with her leads. But she drew off under, little urging after she did get into that rhythm. It did take some urging to get into that rhythm, but once she did, she, pulled away like a horse that's going to appreciate at a distance. And I think you're going to get a pretty decent price on her. So, I think, she's sure to improve. So
yeah, I would agree with that. I think that this one, it's interesting that Todd had this horse down at Gulfstream, obviously, and wins in debut and now ships her up here for a shot at the Busanda. It tells me that he has a pretty high opinion of her. I mean, few trainers are better at maneuvering their Derby and Oaks contenders than Todd Pletcher, and he knows what circuit to put these horses in and where to get them. And he has so many different ownership groups to contend with, and the understanding that everybody wants a Derby and an Oaks horse, and he knows how to get them points to get them into the starting gate of these races. And so it just, to me, it just speaks to the fact that this one's going to probably improve pretty significantly. You don't see many Pletcher horses firing off bullets down at Palm Bay Downs either. So that's something else to notice. I always notice that with Todd horses, when they fire off bullets, it usually means they're really ready to go. If this horse gets off to a better start than she did last time, I think she could be pretty dangerous. As Kaylie mentioned, the pedigree's there. So it could be a little bit of a price play, and wouldn't be shocked if this one really outran her odds.
Yeah, I love the points you brought up with the fact that Pletcher shipped this horse up to New York after debuting at Gulfstream Park. Obviously, they have their championship meet going on right now, but the fact that he, wanted to maneuver this horse, as you said, up here, it kind of tips his hand a little bit as to showing, horses that he thinks have the right amount of ability at the right time. So clearly, Ruth seems to be doing really well. You mentioned that bullet at Palm Beach seemed to be, that final deciding factor almost, and shipped him up here. So we're hoping that Ruth is ready for a Bambino-like performance, even though I don't think that's what this one's named after. So I was in agreement. I picked this horse in third. I thought this one definitely had a shot, and I'm intrigued to see. Uncle Mo out of Bernardini, certainly bred for these two turns, and to just kind of keep getting better with age and with distance. So that's race number 8. That's the Busanda Stakes. I picked the race 376. Jackson picked the race 793. Kaylie picked the race 936, as did Naira Betts, Matthew DeSantis 936 as well. They're in lockstep today. You love to see it. On to race number 9. I'll throw the picks up now. We all landed on the same top pick. We are going in this race. We're going 6 furlong state bred, 3-year-olds maiden $25,000 claimers. I saw the race 4:13.5. Jackson saw it 4:13.9. Kaylie saw the race 4:83. Matthew saw the race 4:36. I think this is the third week for sure in a row that this show has had the same consensus top pick for at least 2 races, if I'm not mistaken. So I think last week it worked out okay. I don't entirely remember.
No.
Either way, we're going to start off with the number 4. They both lost. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, wasn't that the number 10 horse in the last race?
Yeah.
One of them was definitely
Yeah.
Kinda. With the other it doesn't matter. But we'll start off with Whiskey Friends. Hopefully we can buck the trend here. Whiskey Friends, Naira Betts crew. I'll throw it to you, Matthew and Kaylie. You landed on this horse as your top pick, along with Jackson and I.
Take it.
Yeah, this horse is dropping in class significantly. Dutro hits at a very high percentage making this move, 62% win record, making this class drop. This horse faced pretty tough field on debut, and then regressed kind of next time out. But if he's able to run back to what he showed on debut, he should be way good enough to win here.
Yeah, and you see a lot of italics in the running lines, which is always good. A lot of horses that came back to win next time out. Obviously, the big one that catches, I think, everybody's attention is the horse like Sand Devil, who won the last race for Linda Rice. That's a real serious horse. And then you saw a horse like Prince Valiant, actually, if I'm not mistaken, beat the Verkinda, everybody's top pick last week, which was, by the way, my top pick as well. So I'm not putting you guys on notice. But yeah, huge class drop, obviously, from, state bred maiden special weight company down to the maiden claiming ranks for Dutro. And I know Dutro's 1 for 19, but he's 1 for 15, but he's 9 for 15 hitting the board. His horses are firing. They're just not winning. Law of averages. This is going to start to change. This is like when Chad starts the championship meet 1 for 34, and everybody thinks that Chad Brown has somehow forgotten how to train horses. And so, Babe Dutro is going to do just fine right here. So I think this one just makes a lot of sense on the class drop.
It certainly does. And you got to love the stat down below for the trainer. Maiden special weight, the maiden claiming 63% with a 466 ROI. That's those are video game numbers. Jackson, anything to add on the number 4 Whiskey Friends?
Not really. I'll just say today I learned that the italics mean the horse came back to win. I had no idea. That's
What?
been reading the form for 20 years. Who knew?
Is that real?
That's what he said.
No, I'm saying, did you just figure that one out?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh. I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm or not. All
no,
right.
I really didn't know.
Well,
I had no clue.
Look, we're all
You know
learning
how
things
long
on Big
we
Hoof Energy. It doesn't matter if you give out cold
Crazy.
trifectas. We all learn things.
You know how many times I go and look up and Equibase and it takes me forever to see how the horses ran back? I can just see if they run. I could have saved so much.
Jackson,
Jackson's
just for
handicap
future
is gonna
note,
go through the roof because we.
I know
so
it's going to
now.
skyrocket after this. He's gonna run circles around me. Jackson, just for future reference too, you also have my formulator account, so you can just go ahead and click, and then you can just go ahead and view the
but I
races.
don't have that for every card.
No, you aren't like Noah. You don't just go on my account and purchase cards for fun. So I guess that's a fair point. All right, Jackson, we'll swing it out to you to the number 13. Play the Gray, a horse you and I both picked in second.
Yeah, when we're talking about New York bred $25,000 claimers, as soon as they lose at the level, I really want to try to beat them all. So this horse is coming out of open company made in special weights. So just the class drop alone should make him pretty tough in this spot. And, drawn well on the outside, can close, can pass some horses if they heat up too much. So some things to like about this horse isn't like a strong, crazy play or anything, but the class drop could make all the difference in the world in this race.
It definitely could. I saw it very similarly, similar to you, is how I saw the number 13 Play the Gray. That with the cutback, Volatile having an excellent, excellent offspring that he sends to the track. The cutback seems to fit, and I'm with you. These state bred maiden $25,000 or any of these pretty much under $40,000 level, when they start to lose at that level, I try and kind of back off of them a little bit just because things can get, they get a little inconsistent. You kind of have seen the best of it. We'll go now to the number 8, a horse that Kaylie, you picked in second. I give a long look to this one as well. That's Sway the Jury for Jeremiah Engelhardt.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple horses obviously like dropping in class in here that should be pretty dangerous, but I mean there's none that I'm like, oh wow, this horse is a lock, you know what I mean? So I kind of wanted to take a shot with the first time starter as well. Obviously this one's by Vekoma, who's 18 for 77 with his first time starter, so 23% winners on debut. And then Jeremiah Engelhardt as well does, his best work with maiden claimers. 35% win percentage, and he also began the Aqueduct meet 2 for 5. So I thought that this horse was pretty interesting on paper, given the pedigree being by Vekoma and the fact that the trainer hits at a high percentage at this level, and the horse also looks to have some pretty decent gate works for coming into this type of race as well.
Yeah, he certainly does. I'll have a question for the Naira Bets crew. Actually, does Vekoma stand in New York?
No, he stands in Kentucky. He's at Spendthrift.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure because so often in these state bred races, I see offspring of Vekoma. So I figured maybe he stands up there, or he was just so popular this year. I guess a lot of New York, mares went over to Kentucky, I guess, to get in full. Good to know. We'll go now to the number 3, Vamonos. Horse Kaylie, you picked in third, and then Matthew, I'll turn to you. You picked this horse in second.
Yeah, I mean, just listen. The second at this level last time out, second against Open Maiden Claiming Company, 2 back as well. And so, a horse that, I don't know. I'm a lot like Jackson. Once you lose at this level, you're kind of dead to me in some ways. And it's like, I have a hard time coming back to you. But at least I thought this horse, from a buyer speed figure standpoint, did appear to be moving in the right direction. Now going to be running for Toscano, and you get Katie Davis up on the mound. Katie always gives good aggressive rides this time of year. So I thought that one made a little bit of sense. And again, you're probably going to get a slightly better price on this one in a race where, it's interesting because we all do have Whiskey Friends as our top pick, but we should mention those 2 main special weight races were bad. And so it's not as if this horse did much running in either of those races. So while we both think, yes, this is the most likely winner, it still does feel like a little bit of an open race.
Certainly does. And I think our pick 5 tickets will reflect that, because I don't believe any of us singled the number 4 Whiskey Friends in the final leg of the sequence. Kaylie, anything to add on the number 3 Vamonos? This was another one you chose.
Yeah, I completely agree. This horse already improved since dropping in class, and then improved again last time out. The horse is honestly just there to get the win. And, Katie Davis aboard, she does a really good job moving these horses that have a case of seconitis or up, I've noticed. But yeah, so I feel like, she gets on for third time now. She should be able to help this horse improve a bit more. And I think that if he ran back to some of the races he's already won, they're good enough to win here as well. So
they certainly are. Yeah, Vamonos certainly in with a good shot, especially off that last effort. Quickly, before we go to the number 9 for Jackson to wrap us up here on this last race, before we get to our pick 5 tickets, I'll go to the number 9, the number 5 rather, Jason Jett. Yeah, nothing too crazy on the pedigree side. I know, 4 for 54 for global campaign with first time starters isn't, the most precocious number you'll hear today. Same with Greg Sacco going 8% off 26 starters with his first time out. But I love to see that Manny Franco took the mount here. I'm sure he had his option to ride quite a few in here, and he is 50% for Greg Sacco at this meet here. So 2 for 4, 373 ROI. I mentioned, I believe the last race of the race before, Greg Sacco's off to a really hot start here in 2025. So, I'll ride the hot hand, and I don't mind taking a fresh face in a race like this, where a lot of them have kind of shown their ability. And, Kaylie, the same way, taking the number 8, the first time starter, just kind of taking the fresh face in a race where, you're not sold on anybody. I mean, we all chose a top pick who was beaten a total of about 35 lengths in his 2 career starts. So it says a lot about, the quality of the field, and it certainly could be ripe for a bit of an upset. So that's what took me to number 5. Jackson, we'll go to you to the number 9, Monteavi. Your third choice.
Yeah, and again, it's just a horse that hasn't been down to this level yet. First time in at this cheap level. Drawn towards the outside, gets Kendrick. Last time he didn't run that great, but has been gelded since then. Picks up Lasix. It's kind of last chance for this horse. If today's not the day, then he's going to be divorced forever. Just don't ever use him again, because he does have some decent races though. The race at Saratoga was decent, and so was the one in October. So let's give him one more shot to get back to a good race.
I like it. Drops down, gets Lasix, gets the ultimate equipment change, a first-time gelding. You get Kendrick aboard. You got everything going for this horse. So, maybe this one is going to step his game up just a little bit. And, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to take that much to beat this field. So that's race number 9, the last leg of the Pick 5 sequence. Stick around because we've got our Pick 5 tickets coming up. I saw the race 4:13.5. Jackson saw the race 4:13.9. Kaylie saw the race 4:8.3. And Matthew saw the race 4:3.6. I will throw up now that was large. All right, I'll throw up now our Pick 5 tickets for everybody to see. We got a variety of tickets. We got 4 tickets here. They're all pretty in a similar price range type of zone. Matthew, I'll turn to you first if you'd like to walk us through your Pick 5 ticket.
Yeah, I don't know. Just looking at everybody's really quick. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities for singles, I don't think, in the sequence. And so that said, I thought, while I don't think it's a chalky sequence, I think it's a sequence where maybe there's not a lot of bombs that are necessarily there. I think the last race is the one that has the most opportunities. So I went a little skinnier, 2-6 in the first leg, then 2-5-7. 4-6, followed by 3-9, then 3-4-6-8. So kind of spreading in that last leg, trying to maybe catch a little bit of a price. But a lot of those other legs, going 2-3 deep and putting together a $48 ticket on a 50-cent base there.
I like it. We'll keep it on the East Coast. Kaylie, do you want to take us through your Pick 5 ticket?
Yeah, the first leg, I kind of I used the 3 horses that I talked about, and then I also used that number 2 horse in there, which is
Ridgewood
Run. Yeah, Ridgewood Runner, because that horse looked pretty tough on paper, so I didn't really want to leave him off my tickets. And then in the next leg, I just I used the 3 horses that I talked about. I felt pretty safe with those 3 horses. I might even switch things around come day of and maybe take the 7 out to create a less expensive ticket. And then in the next leg, I just used the Mott horse and then the Brad Cox horse. Felt super safe with those 2. And then in the Busanda, I just went with Ramify and Running Away. Again, felt safe with those 2 and hoping to use Ruth in a different way underneath. And then in the last leg, I used the 3 horses that I talked about again, hoping maybe the first time starter surprises a bit and hopefully maybe at a good price too.
There we go. Jackson is using My Sharona in a different way, using this one on top as a single in the Pick 5. Walk us through it, Jackson.
Yeah, well, admittedly, I was rushing to put this ticket together. So now that we've talked about all these races and I've had time to think about it a little more, I'll probably single Toxic Gray because I like the other 2 horses more for underneath. So I'll probably single him, and go a little deeper in leg 2. I'll throw in the Linda horse that you guys all like and St. James, because I know you guys all 3 of you, I think, have those horses in your top 3. So I'll probably throw them in there. I'll be 5 deep in that race, and then in that third leg, gonna try to get home with those 3. I have the entry. I have Quick to Accuse, the Brad Cox horse, and Air Defiance. And then My Sharona is going to be the key to the sequence. She's the separator. She'll be a bit of a price, and if we can get her home, it's going to create some real value in a sequence where, like Matthew mentioned, doesn't seem like there's going to be crazy long shots. So if we can get her home, that'll be nice. And then that last leg, just try to cash with the 3 class droppers. Hopefully one of them shows up and they get the job done.
There we go. That's a $40.50 ticket brought to you by Jackson. Yesterday, Jackson, you provided a $26 ticket, and now we're at $40.50. So unconventional ticket prices, but I'm here for it. I like it.
It's actually $22.50 now, so that's the same thing.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, there we go. Thanks for doing the math on the spot.
Yep.
And then last Pick 5 ticket we'll talk about will be mine, I guess. $60. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 6 in the first leg. I think Toxic Gray is gonna be tough to beat, but it does look like there's a fair amount of other speed signed on in there. Whether it's the number 2 on the rail Ridgewood Runner who could send aggressively and maybe just is going to be able to sit the right trip and hang on. But I wanted to use a couple others in there. So I went with the coupled entry. and then as well as the 3, the horse that I spoke about. And 4 deep in there, hoping for a bit of a price. Next leg, I'm going 5 deep. That race, I didn't have much of an idea, so I wanted to go as deep as I could while staying within our pretty reasonable budget that we have here. Following leg, I'm going 1-4-6. I think Quick to Accuse is definitely the horse to beat. Tough to get around, but I wanted to use a couple of alternatives that I liked in there as well, including I know I put the 1, that's the coupled entry with Radio Red and Crazy Mason. So obviously Crazy Mason, my top choice in there, but I don't mind getting a second horse for the price of 1 in the sequence. I'm going to single Ramify. I'm looking forward to this horse stretching around 2 turns off that debut. Was super green in that maiden win, but with the fact that Chad sees fit to try this one against Stakes Company around 2 turns next time out shows me that this one clearly has some ability and has some more in the tank. And then I'll stay a little skinny in the last leg. I'll go 4 and 13, class dropper on the far outside, as well as the number 4 for Rick Dutrow, who's 63% with this similar move. So 2 class droppers, hoping for the best, hoping they can get home. And Jackson, you made a really good case for the 9. I am mildly concerned about that one now. So maybe I throw that one in come game day, but we'll wait and see. But that's my pick 5 ticket, as well as Jackson's, Matthew's, and Kaylie. That was a really fun sequence to go through. Matthew, as always, thank you so much for joining us. It's always fun having you on for, I think this is the 4th or 5th time now.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Always fun listening to you guys when, even when I'm not on. Always enjoy listening to you guys go through the sequence. And I have to say, very pleased to see Jackson's hat attire for this. Go Birds is all I have to say.
Birds, baby.
So it's nice to see that even a California kid has some common sense.
Yep.
And it knows the right team to root for this time of year. So Rams are going down on Sunday, and it's going to be a good day for the Eagles.
I saw that snow's in the forecast now. Even better for us. We're good.
Even better. Love it.
There we go. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm a Browns fan, so I was out in September. So I'm just watching football just for the fun of it.
There's a lot to unpack about that, about how you ended up being a Browns fan. I have so many questions. Maybe that's another podcast and show of itself. So
simply put, was the Chargers left San Diego, so I left the Chargers. Would be the easiest answer. That would be the easiest way to put it. As for how I wound up on the Browns, that's going to take enough time for a whole nother podcast. So I'll leave that for a later time. Kaylie, I don't know if you're a football fan, but I know you're a Bill Mott fan. So I hope he gets a couple wins this week and this weekend, so you can have something to cheer for along with Jackson and Matthew cheering for the Eagles. But
absolutely. Yeah.
Matthew, thank you again. We look forward to having you on, I'm sure, as we get ramped up for the Oaks and the Derby trail through New York. And then, as always, Kaylie, Jackson, thank you guys for joining and co-hosting and being excellent as you guys always are. Until next time, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you later.